Welcome back to the Have Not Room. I am Ben here with Chad and Brian to talk about week 3 of Big Brother 27. Third evicted player, Adrian, and how we got here because if you had, given me a list of people that I thought was going to be evicted at the beginning of this week when I found out Lauren was HOH, I don't think Adrian cracks the top 5, so... there's a lot to get into how we got here and why, and the series of unfortunate events that led to Adrian's demise.
Yeah, Adrian, Lauren's arch enemy, as we all knew coming into the week.
Yeah.
The person that she desperately wanted out of this house.
Mm-hmm.
She did it. She got her target out. Great week for Lauren, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Lauren, who in this episode is quoted as saying, "I do not want Adrian to leave under any circumstance."
Well,
whoops.
What can you do other than not put him on the block, I guess? But, who can be troubled for that?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. Really.
Heavy hangs the head, right? HOH key.
Yeah. The heavy is the crown, and the crown on the head of the person who spends the week staring at the camera in the HOH room, and yeah.
So I guess how did we get here, Ben? Because I don't think any of us, like you said, had Adrian going home on a Lauren HOH, and yet here we are.
Right.
Yeah. I guess let's start at the initial nominees, because we have a setup. I believe the episodes have set up the Bond Alliance, even though they didn't really reference it at all throughout this week, even though it was a major story point that Lauren...
I made a video saying that this could be the first big real alliance, and now I look like a fool.
Well, I mean, I think that I was on the record saying that it was bound to fail unless Ava won HOH.
Right.
But as is every alliance in this house, there are no real actual alliances, no matter how many times people reference them on the show in dining rooms. But yeah, we had the Bond Alliance, which was formed at the end of week 1, primarily because Vince and Zach were trying to rally votes to save Zay. And so they pulled a bunch of the kind of tangential players in the house into an alliance to try to get them to be hey, let's join an alliance and also let's save Zay. That part didn't work, but the alliance did form. And so it was Vince and Zach, and they pulled in Lauren, Ava, and then make sure this is very important, Will and Adrian, really important members of the alliance, the Bond. And so we have, as Ryan referenced, the first HOH with a member of the Bond in Lauren. And by the end of the week, she has nominated 2 members of the Bond, and they are the last 2 members of the, sitting on the couch at the end of the week, and one of them is evicted. Really, so that's kind of, I think we have to really start there. Yeah.
Not good.
No, yeah,
Not
quite
good.
bad. In fact, to have that be where you end up, it feels like she really wanted to not make people mad, and that drove her more than anything, including what would be good for her own game.
Yeah, I mean, Adrian, I have a lot of issues with Adrian and his gameplay, but he is correct that the primary issue was that Lauren, and also tangential to Lauren, Zach and Vince, are just mother flipping chickens. They're just playing scared, even with this eviction vote, as we'll get to, and how it plays out and ends up with an 8-4. It's Zach and Vince being afraid of drawing a line in the sand. Vince even explicitly says it in this episode, that he's yeah, we could save Adrian and Kelly if we wanted to, but that would draw a line in the sand. And there's this throughout, obviously Vince's HOH, and then also Jimmy's HOH to an extent, and now Lauren's HOH. So much of the gameplay this season has been people getting power and then looking at the power and being afraid of wielding it and then throwing it away. They're like, oh no, I can do something that might help my game. No thanks. I would rather, cower in the corner and cry. And that's basically the bulk of how we got here. Like, that's like the underlying issue, is that people would rather not make waves, even if they're in a position where they're drowning and they need waves to survive.
Yeah, I mean, it was very funny. I can't remember if it was right when the feeds came back on or it was in the Sunday episode where it was like her, Jimmy, and Vince like huddled together. And it's like, not sure I'm wanting to take that much advice from Jimmy and Vince on how to have a good HOH week. But it appears she did take a lot of advice from them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Chad, what are your thoughts so far?
Yeah, I mean, we even saw this. The whole house is playing scared, and we even saw it like before they entered the house or feeds even turned on. Like all those interviews prior, no one wants to say what their real jobs are. Everyone just doesn't want to be a target. It's just, I feel like this season's all about don't target me because I'm not a threat, and I'll do everything I can to make myself appear as I'm not a threat or just suck so bad that I'm not a threat.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, I get why so early everyone's just playing this safe game, especially Lauren, who really just kind of won an HOH out of nowhere, which is kind of funny. Like, we both said the last 2 weeks that Lauren would be the most interesting HOH, but I think in the back of our minds could also just be a boring HOH, given that Keanu, Jimmy, and all these like people who are actually talking and playing, albeit terribly, have these targets on their back, and then they end up on the block. And with so many powers in play and so many chances to pull yourself off the block, you just throw up the people who've already been on the block as to not make more waves. So it's just like mother freaking chickens. Like, it's just it's safe, but it's not fun. Like, this is like you could so easily have made a move, or I don't know who Lauren's target even would be at this point if it wasn't Keanu, or who her backup would be. But like, go after like one of the big like athletic dudes or smarter folk who can outplay you in the end game. Like, no one's thinking end game.
To be fair, there's like two athletic dudes in the house, and one she's in like a fake showman's with, and the other one she did technically just evict, accidentally. So I guess no, I mean the right person. Like, if she were to like try to play like to make like a safe shot, the right person for her to have nominated, both initially and as the renom, was Ashley. Like, she knew this.
Man, I disagree, obviously. Can't be putting my winner pick out there, Ben. Come on.
Well, yeah, but look, I mean, I'll even say too, if she was going to play like even more balls to the wall, the right move for her to do would have been Rachel. Really, like Rachel was actually the right move. But like, if she wanted to make a safe move that still was good for her game, the very obvious choice was Ashley, and she knew it. She vocalized it many times. She talked about putting Ashley up as an initial nom, and she chickened out. She talked about putting Ashley up as a renom, and she ended up chickening out. And I mean, kudos to, in particular, Mickey and Jimmy, also Rachel as well, put in a ton of work to basically put the fear of God into Lauren. They were like, if you don't nominate Ashley, you're safe with the whole group of us next week, which she was safe with them regardless. They were not ever going to go after her. They were always going to go after people like Riley, Vince, maybe Catherine, Keanu. Like, she was never going to be a target regardless. So she basically bought herself nothing. But good work from them to like keep on hounding on her, like, hey, there's this group of people who are going to really be pissed off if you put up Ashley, and if you don't put her up, we're going to be really happy with you and you'll be safe with us. Really like good move to like kind of deal with her psychologically, and that was primarily Jimmy, who didn't get a ton of credit. I think they gave mostly credit to Mickey, who also was, I think, pretty important. But yeah, I think like we have seen the conversations that Vince and Zach had with Lauren, and I think they did an okay job on the show of showing that like they were just not very confident and adamant in their campaigning towards Lauren, like, because they didn't want to be perceived as controlling her HOH. But they got almost the worst of both worlds, where people still perceived Vince in particular as running Lauren's HOH, but like he didn't even get what he wanted. So like he didn't run it, but he made it look like he was running it. So he got all of the negatives and none of the positives. And all he had to do, and we come back after the veto meeting with the feeds turned back on, and Vince is like, why the hell did you do that? Why didn't you put up Ashley? You know, that was so much better. And she was like, why didn't you tell me? If you had told me to put up Ashley, I would have. Yeah, and that's just the root of it. Lauren was an afraid player looking for somebody to tell her what to do. And Vince and Zach were afraid players who didn't want to tell her what to do. And you had people like a Jimmy, like a Mickey, like a Rachel playing way more aggressively in that mid part of the week.
Yeah, nailed it.
Yeah, and I guess that kind of shows like the difference of a new player versus somebody who's played 2 times, who's not afraid to like go out there, not afraid to tell her alliance like what to do, who to talk to. And obviously like Jimmy's a very like aggressive player. I don't think he would have had any issues trying to guide people along without Rachel, but it does help to have a veteran to be like, no, we have to like do this for real.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And I thought when Chad was saying about like, we've kind of known since the preseason that like the cast kind of was this way. Like I'm thinking back to like every single interview, people saying like, I don't want to win the first HOH. And then when Jimmy gets his power, all of them coming to him and being like, I don't want to play in the first HOH. And it's like, yeah, that is kind of like the vibe of the season, where just like everyone is just like so afraid of like doing anything that could like, upset the apple cart at all. And the people who aren't afraid are like kind of incompetent, right? Like people like Keanu and Kelly, I would say, are not fearless, are fearless, are not fearful of doing things that could upset people, but they're so bad, both socially and strategically, that like it doesn't matter. Like there are very few players in the house that are both competent and aggressive. And the ones that are seeing the enormous spoils of the game right now.
Yeah, and I wanted to bring up, because we were talking a little before we started recording, how Ava isn't getting the credit she maybe deserves from your point of view. Can you kind of talk on that, Ben?
Yeah, I think like looking at this vote, right? Vince and Zach talked to Lauren in this episode, in the eviction episode, about the vote. They only need 7 votes or 6 plus, Lauren breaking the tie. And they think they have potentially 7 with Ava, right? The 4 who voted, against Will in the actual vote, plus Zach and Vince, plus Ava. They think that's the 7 they can get. And they know that they do have the 6 with Lauren breaking the tie, but Lauren doesn't want to break the tie. Like she doesn't want to have to do that if she doesn't have to. And so they both individually and as a pair go to Ava earlier today and talk to her about the eviction vote with the intent of trying to like convert her or like make sure that she's locked in to potentially vote out Will. And she basically shuts it down, and she gives the same argument to both of them, which is the people who are going to try and evict Will are Riley, Catherine, Kelly, and Keanu, the 4 that we saw in the eviction episode, cast the votes on the wrong side of the house. And Ava's argument was, these are people that are the consensus house targets. These are like the house pariahs. And if you vote with them and it doesn't work out, then you're going to also be pushed in with the house pariahs. You're going to be like seen as associated with them. And that scared off both Zach and Vince from even considering tying this vote. They went back and had a conversation, and they decided that Ava was correct and they shouldn't try to save Adrian because it'll tie them to the house pariahs of Kelly, Keanu, Riley, and Catherine, which is a horrible argument, but it worked. It's a horrible argument if you're like a person, like a rational person trying to play Big Brother optimally. But like if you're Zach and Vince and you're like you have this mindset of like trying to mitigate as much disaster as possible, or to mitigate as much chaos as possible, even if that chaos could help you, then it's a good argument because they don't want to be seen as being associated with Keanu or even Kelly. Like even like, you know, Vince and Kelly are affiliated, but like even with that, Vince does have like a shield up between him and Kelly in a lot of things. So that I think was the deciding factor in what we saw tonight, which is the 8-4 vote. Because they did have the votes. They could have saved Adrian and evicted Will. They just chose not to. And they chose not to because Ava convinced them not to. And that was not shown at all. I think the reason it wasn't shown partially was because it would have given away the vote and they don't want to like ruin the suspense or whatever of like, oh, it could go either way. But like, I hope on Sunday they like kind of do a little bit of a flashback and show that happening and give Ava the credit. Because I think right now they don't really know what to do with Ava. Like the show has had like a weird history of like, and like not even just Big Brother US, Big Brother Canada had this issue as well, where if somebody who's kind of like puppet mastering the game does not like archetypically fit into who you would like slot as a puppet master, then the show doesn't really like edit them appropriately. And this happens especially with women, where like the only two examples I can think of where they edited like a female puppet master well were like Danielle Reyes and like Vanessa are like the two big examples I can think of. And they had very different personalities than Ava, right? Ava is, you know, very bubbly, very emotional. Like we even saw on this episode with the eviction, she was breaking down, even though she was the one who orchestrated Adrian's eviction. She was still upset about it because of like, you know, Adrian had the speech that he had. So like, I don't know if the show really like has like the wherewithal to edit Ava accurately into how she's playing. But it's very interesting. I hope they can kind of pivot a little bit. Because she's like definitely like by far the best player right now. I think it's her, and then there's like a small gap, and then like Mickey, Rachel. But like Mickey, even in this episode, we saw her, you know, make this mistake with Adrian, telling him this information about the Morgan Zach Vince trio, not getting back to Zach, etc. So like Mickey has made mistakes, whereas I don't think Ava has really made any mistakes. So
and I think it's like especially interesting because like you said, she is so unassuming in like, you know, her presentation. Like you're gonna overlook Ava because like you just don't expect someone who dresses like Ava to be like this game savvy. And she is, and I think that's really fun. So yeah, like you said, I hope that the show kind of gets around to showing what she's really doing, because you know that's a very different type of player that we maybe have never seen before, right? I mean,
it's very unique. Yeah.
I can't even think of like anyone who really is like her archetype and then was also like super strategic, you know? I'm honestly even struggling to figure out like her archetype. Have we cast?
Well, like, I think coming into the season, we expected her to be like a Lisa from last season, where she was just kind of like, you know, like kind of
putting glitter in everyone's food.
Yeah, like kind of you know, I don't know, like an airhead. Like I wouldn't say airhead, but like kind of like a space cadet almost, or like somebody who's like kind of like a little bit too wacky, voodoo stuff, a little too wacky for the game, a little too out there. Doesn't fit in socially. But no, I mean, like there was one player that was clocking onto Ava's game, and even tried to tell Kelly, and Kelly was like, "No, you're crazy. You know, it's not true." And that was Adrian. Adrian literally saw what Ava was doing and was like, "Hey, you know, Ava's dangerous. Like, you know, she's gonna go far, and she's extremely likable, and like, you know, everyone loves her, and like, you know, and she she knows what she's doing. She's not like, this is not like an accident that she's in the position she's in. And Kelly was like, no, I don't believe you, basically. And now Adrian's gone because of Ava. So like, I just don't. At this point, I don't see Ava going home anytime soon. I think she's down for the long haul for this game.
Yeah, Adrian, you come for the queen, you better not miss. All right, buddy. send you straight out of the house.
Yeah, you're gonna get beheaded, as Rachel said.
As Rachel said, you're gonna get beheaded by the sunflower queen.
Yeah.
Man, maybe there's something to this aura stuff after all.
Yeah, she knows who to work with and how to approach people because she can see their auras. Maybe she's making me a believer. I didn't believe it coming into it. Now I'm gonna have to get my aura painted by her after the season.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know, whatever it is she's doing, it's working, right? She's like positionally extremely well positioned. Like obviously, like in this spot, like everyone thought that she was a swing vote, and she's well liked by the entire house, and she's also created these multiple alliances. She formed this final two with Rachel called Double the Fun. She has she's gotten a lot closer to people like Mickey, for instance. Like she has really like grabbed her roots into the game, and yeah, it's just no one is targeting her, right? Like everyone's looking from the Mickey Rachel side. Everyone is looking at Keanu or Vince, but like Keanu is kind of being pushed onto the back burner. Rachel's been pushing hard to target Vince right now. And from the other direction, everyone's probably going to be targeting Mickey or Rachel. And so there's just like, I just don't see a situation where she goes home, at least pre-jury.
Oh God, no. I think the biggest question with her is how does she finish strong enough to make a good resume when she's sitting in the final two, assuming she does.
Rachel wants to take her to the final two. Rachel has said, both in private to the cameras and in other conversations, she's indicated that Rachel indicated that her ideal final two right now is Ava, and that's a horrible final two for Rachel.
Oh God.
Like Rachel, like as Adrian implied in his, or not even implied, but he said it outright in his exit interview with Julie. Like there's kind of like this unspoken vibe in the house that like unless Rachel does some crazy shit, like no one's gonna want to give her a second win. We saw this in BB14 with Dan.
And he did crazy shit.
Yeah, he did do crazy shit.
Yeah.
And then so like if you have Rachel who hasn't won comps yet, but has a history of winning comps, probably is going to do better in more late game comps, but who knows, like especially with the way comps have changed. Wanting to take her to the final two, like Ava would sweep against Rachel. It wouldn't even be close, at least right now. Like obviously it's a little early to make that argument, but right now, like Ava would win, like she would sweep. So like that's her path. That's her path. Yeah, to sitting next to Rachel and winning.
Yeah, which is kind of crazy to say out loud. Because
I mean, back to BB14, Ian kind of saw this path too, and he was able to make it happen. And if Ava can kind of see, we're on week 4 now. Like we're way, projecting out, but like so much can happen and change. But like, yeah, I think this is a good path. And like you said, Ben, there is the undercurrent of like, we don't want to lose to the returning player.
Yeah.
I mean, even Paul.
Paul. Yeah.
Like, and Paul nearly won, but like, he probably should have won. I love Josh. Probably should have been Paul's season to win, but even then, like, it's a little too strong. Like, you don't want to have this person come back into the house and then get punked by them.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's tough because if Rachel makes it to final two, I mean, she must have done something pretty good to get there. There's no way she gets there because she's the last one standing. Like at some point, someone's going to want her out because she's like, oh, she's getting way too close to the end and she's a winner. She'd be like the easiest, like mid-jury vote off ever, unless she saves herself. So to me, it's like, it'd be kind of tough to, I don't know. I feel like it's just hard if you're sitting next to Rachel and she made it there, and you're like, and Rachel essentially is going to drag her there. But Ava could be behind the scenes making all the social game stuff work, and maybe Rachel's the front runner with all the comps and like the big moves, and who knows. But I don't know. I think it's going to come down to, can Ava articulate her game well enough to like show that, yeah, I outplayed Rachel and I just skirted under her, but I was secretly the one making the moves, and she's taking the heat for it. I don't know. I mean, like you said,
It's very early.
It's week
very
four.
early to be talking
It's
about
very,
that.
One thing I wanted to ask,
Fun to
do we
brainstorm.
know the format for this season? Last 2 seasons we went back to a jury of 7, right?
Yeah,
Are we
that's
doing
the
that
assumption.
again? Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't want to spend the money on the extra 2 weeks of the jury house.
Yeah, that's what Ava said. Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, I mean,
Mhm.
we joke, but
Mhm.
I don't know how much of a joke it is.
I prefer jury 7 anyways. Like, I think that like it means that every individual jury vote matters more, and like, you know, the people who are in the house, you know, at the final 9 versus the final 11 often have a better vibe on like kind of what's going on down that stretch. You're like less removed from the, you know, the game. You're less removed from the consequences of being evicted. You've had less time to like, you know, get over it. And, you know, I prefer it. I don't know what you guys think.
I do agree.
Yeah.
I think it's tough to spend like 40 days in the house and still miss the jury, but like that's just is what it is, right?
Yeah.
I mean, with a cast of 17, like 9 is still like more than half, right? Like if you're still, you know, like more than half of the cast is still going to either be jury or final 2. So like it's not crazy.
No, I think 7, like that's how it used to be when it first started, right? And
Well,
you know,
technically, when Big Brother first started, everyone was on the jury. There was no
right.
free jury.
True. Yeah.
And then eventually they cut it off at 9, and then eventually they changed. They went from 7, I think, to 9, and then back to 7. Well, they went to 9 when they expanded the cast to 16.
Right.
But and then the cast has been 16 for like, you know, probably like what, 13 years at this point. Because I think it went to 16 in BB 14 or 15, somewhere around there.
Yeah,
So
I
Rachel
remember,
won with a jury of 7, and 13 was, I think, a 14-person cast.
yeah, it was
think-
6
yeah,
and
I
8
think-
for the
6 and 8.
versus the So, and I remember Ian, speaking of BB14, being like,
Mhm.
"There's definitely other people coming in the house because Big Brother isn't a 12-person game anymore."
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
I guess let's look on to next week, unless we have anything else we want to talk about for this week, and who. I guess where are we moving toward? Are we going to have another week where Will and Keanu and Kelly end up on the initial nominees, or what do you think, Ben?
Well, it depends. It heavily depends on who wins HOH. Like I said, I personally think the most interesting head of household right now by far is Rachel. And I'm not just saying that because she's my winner pick or because she's Rachel Riley. I think Rachel is the one person I am very confident will actually draw a line in the sand. She's been talking all week about wanting to target Vince, whether she puts him up immediately or like tries to do a backdoor situation. It's with the blockbuster, it's kind of less, you know, straightforward to do a backdoor because he can still have a chance to save himself anyways. So it's probably just correct to nominate him immediately. But no, I mean, Rachel and Keanu have sort of made up. There's still like some tension there. Keanu still repeatedly puts his foot in his mouth. Keanu still runs information that Rachel tells him in good faith back to Vince. Keanu's perspective on the game is still completely incorrect. Like you can go down the list, but from Rachel's perspective, her number one target has moved off of Keanu. She is no longer planning on nominating Keanu, at least as a target. Like it seems unlikely she'd probably put him up at all, but like, never say never. But she is the one who's going to draw a line in the sand, go after Vince, and split up this, kind of weird, loosely like aligned group of people that sort of overlaps. It's like heavy hitters 2.0 fabrication, where we're pretending like everyone's, Gucci, even though like Rachel and Vince know that they're at each other, and Mickey doesn't like Zach, and like Morgan has this weird like crush on Zach that Zach isn't reciprocating, and Jimmy also doesn't really trust Vince or Zach, and like. Yeah, whatever. Like, they're working with Ashley as a separate thing, but like Zach doesn't like Ashley, but Zach also flirts with Ashley, and Ashley also has a crush on Zach that hasn't been addressed in the show yet. So like there's a lot of like kind of messy pieces that are just kind of like floating in air because everyone is afraid to like break apart the like fake power structure and fabricate like a real power structure around themselves. I think Rachel is like the one person I'm confident will actually like, not be afraid to make a move. I think Mickey also might be a good HOH and do similarly. Jimmy, ironically, even though he had a bad HOH week too, I think at this point also could be pushed by Rachel to go after Vince. Zach would be an interesting HOH because I don't really know what he would do, but I think that actually, I don't know. Before this week, I thought that Zach would draw a line in the sand and make a move. But after this week, I don't know because he played very scared this week in terms of even trying to influence Lauren. So, yeah, there are a few people who would do something interesting. Will would actually be a really fun HOH. I don't think he's not shown much capability of being able to win comps, but if he were to win some crapshoot HOH, then he would definitely make a move.
Yeah, that 16 pick, that was tough.
I saw people say that maybe he thought that you were supposed to count like both instances.
Both of them.
Yeah.
He would have had the right number.
Yeah.
That would have been really funny.
Or maybe he just like saw that he was last and just like threw a random number up there because he was like, I didn't lock in first. I don't know. Whatever. Regardless of what the explanation is, kind of not defensible.
No, not good. I saw that. I was like, well, unless I'm missing something. And I will say this was not a great challenge as a viewer.
Yeah.
Like trying to squint at my TV to be like, is that different? What's happening there? As there's just like that one static shot of both of the sides of the room. But yeah, when he put 16, I was like, no chance. Is that like, no way.
No, we're live, baby. It's not gonna be that crazy.
Yeah, exactly. Like, yeah, maybe it was one of those like, look at all the different stacks of things that we have challenges, and then you get like to have to estimate them, and you had like an hour to go back and forth. But yeah, no, like you said, Chad, a minute 30 seconds, there's not going to be that many differences.
Oh God, no.
Yeah, I'm actually, because they promoted this with Julie on Julie's Instagram, where she ran this challenge earlier in the day. And when she did it, it was 2 minutes, and she was like explaining it as if they were going to have 2 minutes, and then all of a sudden it was a minute 30. I was like, oh, okay. I guess they did. They thought 2 minutes was too easy, even though Julie got it wrong in 2 minutes on her.
No, what'd she say?
He said 6. She also said Adrian said 6 as well. So
I know he's one away from winning. Well, not really, because Kelly.
Well, it's also ironic because if Will won this competition, then and he had saved himself, if like he had decided that like it wasn't 16 and it was 8 instead, and like he, you don't have to multiply by 2 or like whatever, or like, you don't have to imagine 8 things that are the same that don't exist. And Will had pulled himself on the block. Ironically, Adrian would have then stayed against Kelly, and Kelly would have been evicted. So like the only scenario where Adrian gets evicted here is Kelly winning the blockbuster, which is why it's very crazy that like so many things had to go wrong for Adrian for him to be evicted, right? It was Lauren needs to fuck up her initial noms. Lauren then needs to fuck up her renom and nominate him instead of Ashley. Then Zach and Vince have to be spooked off of keeping him when they literally had the votes to keep him, and then they just didn't want to do it for no reason other than like Ava convinced them, and Lauren's afraid of breaking the tie. And then not only does he not have to, not only does he have to lose the blockbuster, but Kelly specifically has to win because he would have stayed against Kelly. Kelly would have been evicted. So like just 1, 2, 3, 4, like 5 different things had to go wrong for him to get evicted this week. A really, really bad draw. But like, not to say Adrian was like screwed or anything, because he's not like a great player, but like still, for him specifically to get evicted this week was a series of unfortunate events.
Yeah, a little bit like Justin on the last Survivor season, where it's like, man, a lot went wrong for Justin to get voted off this episode.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, not going to defend him wholly, even though, fellow pizza boy from Massachusetts is going to defend him a little. But like, just like you said, a series of unfortunate events leading to an outcome that I didn't expect for both of them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, I
anything
mean-
else? I'm sorry, Jeff.
No, you're good. Yeah, I mean, Adrian was. I think he could have been a little better. Like, I would have liked to see him go longer, but whatever. I think he's more entertaining than Will overall. Maybe that's a hot take, but I don't know. But yeah, rip Adrian.
Will didn't have a segment about wanting to sleep with bread. Adrian did. So
Let's
just
get
for that.
bread.
Although he did get hit on by Julie at the
True.
live eviction. So there was that also.
True.
I mean, Adrian definitely put in more effort to not be nominated than Will did. That was something I took umbrage with at the start of the show. Was Julie saying, "Will fought hard to not be a nom"? And I was like, "Did he though? He did not."
He just had like a hissy fit.
Yeah, he pretty much didn't fight at all, and in fact, just kind of took it and like was just kind of like passive aggressively upset about it. Yeah, there's a lot of fighting.
Man, this sucks.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, this bitch ass move, scared ass players,
I really do love that his argument is like, why take a shot at me? I fucking suck. Like,
I mean-
do something exciting.
I mean, it's at least a self-aware argument, right? There is a huge amount of lacking of self-awareness in this cast, but like that is one thing that you can say. Well, at least is self-aware.
He's not one of the people who like cope of being like, I'm just too big of a target. They want me out of this house.
They can't handle me.
Yeah, he's literally like, why me of all people? Come on.
Yeah.
Oh, Will.
I mean, yeah, it is hard because now that he's been nominated 2 weeks in a row and survived on the block at the end of the week 2 weeks in a row, even though like both weeks could have gone either way. Like, he was like, there were scenarios in both weeks 2 and 3 where he's evicted. But like, it's in fact really kind of silly that he wasn't evicted this week if you look at it a certain way. But I think the fact that now that he survived 2 weeks on the block, it's only going to make him a much juicier pawn for everyone else going forward because, like, until he wins a comp, he needs to win a comp. Like he needs to either win a comp or have an ally win an HOH, have him take a week off from the block, and then maybe things will ramp up enough that people will not use him as a nominee after things have kind of been divided, But it's like really, really a tough spot for him at this point. He needs some really good comp outcomes and preferably for himself to win a comp somewhere. Otherwise, he's like, there's no way he's going to get any kind of footing in this game.
Yeah, we need like a
Rockstar.
crapshoot HOH, like a throw the ball and hope it lands in the right hole one or whatever.
Yeah, the shuffleboard one, the golf
Yeah.
one, anything like that.
Yeah.
So I thought we were making an old joke for a
Yeah,
second.
the shuffleboard and golf. Yeah, two things perfect for the old guy. Yeah,
Yeah, he's got to dominate. He's about to
Minimal
drop the hammer on these kids.
okay, but like it's like the announcer guy. I think in the Wednesday episode, calling him the old guy. You know, he's 50, right? Like he's not that old.
He's not that old. No, yeah.
Like you
For
know,
Big Brother, yes, but not.
yeah, for Big Brother, like he's the old guy. But like you know, I mean, even Big Brother has had older players. Like
Yeah.
on this season, he is the oldest. But like you know, in the history of Big Brother and in like society at large, like he's not that old.
Yeah. No. So I guess we'll see. I'm eagerly awaiting to see who wins this HOH.
Mhm.
Hopefully it's somebody interesting.
Yeah. Come back from feeds and Riley, the new HOH.
Oh god.
Damn.
Okay. Well, Riley, I was going to say Riley would at least draw a line in the sand, but like he wouldn't draw a line in the sand in an interesting way because everyone already doesn't like associate with Riley. Like he would put up like Mickey Ashley Rachel or Mickey Ashley Morgan, maybe.
Right. Maybe actually Morgan would be a bad look for him, especially.
I mean, look, he doesn't like, you know, those are the people who are, you know, he's against. So it is what it is.
Oh boy.
Yeah.
All right. Well,
This isn't monetized now.
it never was yet. So
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. There are, I would say about half of the HOH outcomes are interesting, and then half of them are probably pretty boring and like either as bad as this week or worse.
right.
So yeah, we really have to land on a good outcome here.
Go Rachel. Let's get some actual alliances.
Yeah.
Sides of this
I
house.
need Rachel with that key.
Yeah.
She's the one who said, "Give me that key, bitch." Right?
I don't know, Janelle.
Oh, that was a no. That was I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Mixing up my legends. Really feel like I'm coming off like Keanu now.
Mhm.
Just,
Yeah.
vaguely aware of hype moments.
Oh,
Oh man.
Big Brother 6.
Yes, yes.
Yep.
All right. Anything else for this episode?
Boring week.
Boring week.
More so
Gotta be
than
done.
a boring week, it was like a very frustrating week. It was like very like watching feeds this week was like almost like tearing my hair out, like frustrating. Which like it was like kind of weird because like I wanted like Lauren to do what was best for her game because it was like very frustrating to like watch her, you know, be so timid and like play so badly. But I also like from a selfish perspective didn't want her to target the people that I want to be safe. So like for me, like I'm happy with the outcome of either Kelly or Adrian going out, right? So her making these mistakes, I think, is probably good for the long-term health of the season, but like really, really like infuriating to watch.
Right. Yeah. No, I definitely get you there. Where it's just like, if you're gonna like screw up, at least make it interesting. Like,
Yeah, it's like in baseball, right? You know, go out swinging. You don't want to like go out watching the pitch come by.
yeah. No, I that's like that could be like our show motto between this and the Blindsiders. Like at least swing, like at least go for it, please.
Right?
Yeah. Yep.
Oh man. All right, Chad. Anything you want to promote before we get on out of here?
No, man, you can follow me on Twitter or X or whatever you want to call it at the handle right down over here. And yeah, sometimes I post, sometimes I don't.
Ben, same thing.
Yeah, I mean, you can follow me on social media, Blue Sky at Ben Sharon. I don't post often, but it is what it is. Brian, you want to plug what we're doing next week, or you want to like keep that in the?
I want to make sure it happens first. I don't want to hype
Sure.
it and then something
Okay.
out of our control.
We may or may not have a
You'll know
next week.
Yeah, you all know. if and when it happens. So
Mhm.
stay tuned for next week. Very exciting stuff happening. Subscribe to the Have Not Room YouTube channel. Subscribe to the main channel, Wiki and Everything. Just put a video out about why this is the year to not buy Madden again, because we might actually get more football games if the NFL doesn't extend the license, and this is the last year of that. So go watch that video if that sounds interesting to you from a video game and just like business perspective. Then we got Those Fake Nerds, we got what is the other channels that we do? We get sports, the Blindsiders channel, like I said, the Have Not Room, and follow us on TikTok as well. Got 100 followers on there, which that's great. Fastest TikTok account that we have that went to 100 followers. So very exciting.
You've been doing a lot of good content on there, like not only just parts from the podcast, but also just like little short form videos.
Yeah, trying to mix it up. Want to give people who listen to the podcast a little bit extra each week, and that's a great platform to do that because it's so easy to just like record with the phone and just like post. So really love doing that. So please check that out. And other than that, we will see you in our next episode of the Have Not Room. Thank you so much for watching.
Thanks, guys.